This sucks, man.
What's up, guys? My name is Aaron. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Snowman. The Snowman is a movie directed by Tomas Alfredson and it stars Michael Fassbender, Rebecca Ferguson, and Val Kilmer. It's basically about this detective, Harry Hole, who is tasked with trying to discover who's been killing these women with like a small child or whatever, and he's tasked with trying to find them in Norway, basically. I heard a lot of buzz, kind of negative buzz about this movie, saying this is probably one of the worst movies of the year. I went into this with a fair shake because I do think Michael Fassbender is a really great actor, and I do think that you should give movies a chance when they first come out. You shouldn't just go into it with like a negative point of view. This movie isn't great. This movie is not even good. I would say they're right that this is probably one of the worst movies of the year. So I'll say some positive about it. I do think the movie is really well shot. Like, it's set in Norway, so you could see all of the like the snows and like the architecture and stuff like that. Like, all that stuff is really well done and it looks really cool. So that's a really good plus for the movie, that even if the movie is kind of boring, it looks pretty, you know what I mean? I do think that like Rebecca Ferguson really like kind of elevates the material she was given. She is like a detective too. She's like the younger detective that's tasked with Harry Hole, Michael Fassbender's character, and I think that even though she's not really given a lot to do, you can see the talent there as she's kind of like really up and going and trying to discover who this is. She has a personal connection to the case, so there's that, and I think that she did a pretty good job with the material. I like the scene where Harry Hole, who's played by Michael Fassbender, he interviews a kid. Michael Fassbender is kind of like Ryan Gosling, where like when he's with a kid, he really has like a sweet dynamic, and I just like seeing him interact with kids. I think that's cool. And I do think that the movie actually made me laugh out loud. It wasn't intentional, but it was a pretty great laugh, so I can say that's a good thing about the movie, I guess. But outside of that, this movie is just like not good. The director has came out and said that he wasn't able to finish filming like 10 to 15% of the script, and it can really show in the movie. Like, the editing and flow of this movie reminds me of Suicide Squad at times, just how like herky-jerky it is. For example, there'll be a scene where like somebody will be walking outside or something like that, and just randomly they'll just be inside, you know what I mean? Like, there's no like kind of build up to it or anything like that. It's just like they're doing one extreme thing and then they're doing another extreme thing. There's no like transition between shots and stuff. And it makes sense because he wasn't able to finish filming the movie, but it's just like, why would you even put this out? Why wouldn't the studio just give time for reshoots or something like that, you know what I mean? The dude's name is Harry Hole. I understand this is probably like a European thing, or like if something from Norway, like the name is probably means something else, or it's probably pronounced differently. But if it was, then why didn't they just like pronounce it that different way? Or why not just change the name if they weren't going to do it? Because in like America, it just sounds so like goofy. The name Harry Hole, it sounds like a 6-year-old would come up with that name. It's just really like kind of goofy, and it made you laugh like whenever they would say it. I also think that Harry Hole is supposed to be like this perpetually drunk and shamed detective, but then you have Michael Fassbender, who's like one of the most like capable looking dudes alive, like playing him, and it doesn't really fit with the character that he's given. I mean, they have Harry Hole pass out like a few times in the movie, and he does drink, but when you have somebody like as handsome and as like in together looking as Michael Fassbender, you're really asking, why would this person be acting this way? You know what I mean? Michael Fassbender doesn't look like the type of person that would be doing these type of thing, and didn't really like have any like inner turmoil about him. Like, I don't even think that it really kind of show that he was like fighting with some demons or anything like that. It just seemed like Michael Fassbender was just playing this dude. It didn't really make any sense to me. The movie kind of explained it, but it was kind of half-assed. I think probably with reshoots or whatever like that, they could have expanded upon that, but it just really didn't matter to me. It just didn't seem like Michael Fassbender should be playing this type of character. It was kind of a miscast to me. And I was thinking throughout this whole movie, like, if Harry Hole is such a unreliable dude, then why does he still have a job with the police? Why does his ex-wife or girlfriend still allow him to be around her kid, or expect him to be a dependable guy, like take him to like trips and stuff like that? I just really didn't understand that aspect of it. It didn't really make any sense why somebody would be so reliant on him. I also was wondering why everybody in Norway spoke English. Like, I don't even think they even really use like subtitles at all in this movie. It just it was just like they didn't really care, or like, okay, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's gonna speak English because it makes it more easy to film or guess. And J.K. Simmons is in this movie, and his accent is just really weird. It's like, it reminds me of that Future Speak they speak in After Earth, where it's like this really like kind of overly British American voice. This is a really weird choice to me, and it kind of took me out of the movie. And I also think J.K. Simmons' entire plot is just so extraneous to what's happening in the movie. It really doesn't need to be there at all. I also think that Val Kilmer in this is probably the most unintentionally like funny performance in this movie. I think every single line that he said was like badly ADR'd, like they did the voice after the fact, so it just looks like he's like mouthing lines that don't really match with the words that he's saying. His cheeks look like perpetually stuffed with like cotton balls or something like that, or gum balls or something, and he speaks in this really like unthreatening low growl throughout the entire movie. It just felt like a parody of like a detective movie or something like that. Like I feel like Andy Samberg would have given that same performance if he was playing this as a comedy. But one of his later scenes in the office is just so funny to me. Like he's like throwing shit around in the office, and he's like literally like walking on a ledge with his coworkers there. It was just so like out of place with the movie, but I was laughing hysterically at it. It's not a great thing to be laughing at, but like compared to how boring this movie was, like it was something that I really enjoyed, and that was probably the best part of the movie to me. I don't think that snowmen are scary. I think it's a kind of goofy thing for a movie to try to pretend like it is, and it was just kind of like, you know what I mean? And then when you kind of figure out who the killer is and stuff like that, it doesn't make any sense why they're doing the things they're doing. I expect a lot of that was in film footage or whatever, but it just felt really like kind of, why would you do all of this? You know what I mean? Over so many years. I was really confused by if a certain character was dead throughout the movie. Like, it was so like abrupt the way that they did it, and I was like, is this person really dead? Like, they didn't really like expand upon it or like let me know if they were dead. It's like really weird to me. I think outside of like the moments of unintentional comedy, this movie is just like really boring. Like, it's really cliched. Like, if you've seen detective movies, you know what this movie is going to be like. It's really predictable, and it's just done better in at least 15 different movies. To me, it doesn't really have a true reason to really exist in the whole scheme of movies that are already out, you know what I mean? And maybe the book is great, and I've heard great things about it, but the presentation here is like not great at all. It's not even like decent. I really like dozed off a few times. Like, it was like really hard for me to pay attention to this movie, and I just didn't care about any character in this movie at all. Like, and it was hard because the movie is like 2 hours long, so you have to sit there and watch it, but the movie's like so long. It was just a mess. Like I said, there are some nice shots in the movie, and there are some unintentional humor in the movie, but I think overall this movie is just a mess. I'm gonna give this like a 3 out of 10. It's not like it's so bad it's good, you know what I mean? It's like kind of inching towards that, but it's just mostly pretty boring with like maybe 2 or 3 minutes of like super funny stuff, you know what I mean? So I would wait to watch this maybe for like streaming or whatever if you're really that interested, but overall I probably wouldn't watch this. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Snowman. What are your guys' thoughts? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments what you thought, and thanks for watching. Thanks guys. Bye.